No way.
Good morning. It's Monday, April the 2nd. I'm reading that. 2018. This is MUT 213, the spring semester sophomore theory. Welcome to all of you viewing from wherever you're viewing, including, but not limited to, Murphy High School. Let's all wave and say hello to Murphy. Hello, Murphy!
Do they watch these things?
Yeah.
They do every day.
Yeah, they do.
Why? Wait.
No, they
What
don't.
It's a
process?
complicated drinking game of some sort.
Wow.
Something inappropriate.
Ah.
Blasphemous.
Shots.
2 shots. Kyle, could you get the door for us before something words? Sarcasm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Where is the Bailey? Should we proceed?
No, you go over here and like, she always coming a little late, if you never noticed.
I do notice. But it's always like 9:05 late, not 9:06 late.
So that was 7.
This is the day after the spring break.
Yeah. Lucky I never secured it all.
Her drive from Nowheresville took longer than she thought. Well, when we last saw our heroes, we were talking about one-to-one counterpoint, or first species. Oh, it's a brand new marker. Excited. Let's do a really something simple in C, but I think I want to start in C minor because I found that people don't understand the minor mode. In counterpoint, like suddenly, they forget that you have to have a leading tone. So let's not do that, huh? Shell our Cantus firmi, let's put it in the bass. Now we're going to make it very simple. Well, okay, a very simple tune. Now, if I were doing this in 4-part, now one thing we want to think about is that we're going to start with a perfect interval, preferably the octave. Now later, we may change this a little bit. We may make it where we can start on the rest, or we can start on the third. But for now, perfect octave. So we're going to think about that in terms of starting our voicing in 4 voices. Now, I don't really think you have to do 4 voice to understand 2 voice, but since that's something we're better at. Now, we could do a number of things here. This could be a passing 6/4 chord. And that would be like that. Now, what I would like to do is, I teach a lot, and I teach linearly, and I teach the shoulds and the should nots, but that's not always the best way to learn. The best way to learn is to just come to an understanding, okay? And you just kind of got to feel it. Now, if I'm looking at this, I can't make that D go to E flat, I just cannot. I just feel this, and it's not any kind of, I'm resolving anything or anything like that. I just kind of feel that. Now I'm gonna take this opportunity to write a passing 4-3 chord. Now in the minor mode, oh, duh, sorry. A passing 4-3 chord is something a little different than what we've ever learned, and I know we've probably talked about this, but here is a situation that in our normal situation, this would go to C, wouldn't it? But in this situation, there is an exception, and it's called the passing 4-3 chord. Okay? So this is really the only non-Bach exception to the inversions of the 6-4 chord. Every other time we 2-1, 7-1, 4-3, 5-5, T to do, so to so, fa to mi or may, and the other one, whatever, so to so. I totally got lost. T to do, re to do, so to so, fa to may. Okay, now, I don't really want to do that, I just want to add that to your vocab, and we'll go back to what if we had it before it. Okay? Now, I would be inclined to do this. Okay, and I also would probably be inclined to do this, or I could take the C to the A flat. But right now I'm just going to keep it simple, handsome. Yeah. Okay, so don't have any 5-7 chords or anything like that. Okay, that's very simple. Shall we play it? Okay. Can we take volunteers, or I guess I'll do it just to save time. Probably not. Okay, now let's pretend that this is now our cantus firmus. And the only thing we're going to keep from that chord is that note. Whoa. Now it seems to me that this would be the best voicing for all of that business. I know we have homework due today, and if you would give it to me at the end of the class, or have it in my box before 1 p.m. today, I would really appreciate it. And if you're not absolutely sure that you've made it perfect, spend some extra time and turn it in at 1. I'm going to be super disappointed if you can't resolve the dominant 7th chord. I'm going to be super disappointed. Okay? Be super disappointed that you can't spell an augmented 6th chord. So give it your best efforts. No. All right, now this we're not going to do. We're not going to have oblique motion in one of the voices. So, bam! What do you think would be best? I think we should do a voice exchange like that. Okay, but now, here's a couple things that we could do. We cannot use an F here. Okay, why? We don't have strong beat, perfect consonances except on the first and last note. Okie dokie. So what are my options here? Could I leap it down to A flat? Yes. But then that puts me in a situation where legitimately I need a B natural there. And we can all see the problem here, right?
Yes.
Augmented interval, augmented interval. So I'm thinking maybe not. Now, one thing that we did not discuss is the potential for this, and now look at what we have here, and this, the beauty of this is, now more traditional one-to-one, we would have that, okay? That's called a what? What's that cadence called? Sorry. What's that cadence called? And I wouldn't ask you except I've told you already, like 10 times. And what does it do? It closes. What is the Latin for close? Clausula. This is the true close, where the sixth moves to the octave. True is vera, clausula vera, clausula vera. If you don't know that this is a clausula vera, you don't have the same vocabulary that I have, a working professional musician who's fed his family for many, many years because I know clausula vera. What do you know? Not that. Okay? I'll write it on the board. Okay? All right, but that's not what the Kansas Pyramus was it? Nope. What do we call this? Now what you say at this point is a perfect authentic cadence. Okay, do you understand that?
Yep.
Yep, 7 to 1, root to root. Now, the point is, our two-voice counterpoint is going to directly illustrate our harmonic values. You will still understand tonic, dominant, predominant. You will still hear all of that happening. You will not hear it in some kind of modal way. Now let me play it in a modal way. And this is the kind of stuff, C-R-A-P, that I get all the time. That's rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. That is not 18th century counterpoint. What do I want? Now that is the tune that sounds like late 18th century music. All right? This is what we're trying to do. This is what we're trying to do. Did you see how I progressed? So let's go over some of the rules that are partly species counterpoint, partly Dr. Durant rules, partly Kent Wheeler-Kennan rules. I have traditionally taught out of Kent Wheeler-Kennan counterpoint book and a workbook, but I use other sources primarily from my own head. Okay. The first note and the last note are perfect consonances, preferably octave or unison. And let's make this more clear. The last note is an octave or a unison that is tonic. Okay? The penultimate note, next to last, is a clausula vera and inverted clausula vera, or a perfect authentic cadence. Okay? So, inverted clausula vera would be this. Okay? And that's going to happen sometimes. Now, what wouldn't have happened here is this note wouldn't have been a D, because we are not allowing oblique motion. Zero oblique motion. Do you understand what oblique motion is? It's different than static. Oblique, one voice moves, the other does not. In the service of counterpoint, oblique motion is the most independent, but we are not doing that now. Think about a suspension. The most powerful non-harmonic tone in tonal music is the 4/3 suspension, and what does that rely on? Oblique motion to a non-harmonic tone. Okay? But we are not going to make this easy for ourselves. No oblique motion, no. Okay, there's going to be too many rules already, aren't there?
Yeah.
What did we start with? The first note, no, let's start with the last note. The last note is a perfect consonant, octave or unison. Did everybody get that? The penultimate notes are clausula vera, inverted clausula vera, or a perfect authentic cadence. The first note of the piece for now is a perfect consonance, octave, fifth, unison. Primarily octaves and unisons. We don't cross voices, because if you did, the soprano would be the bass. Whatever the lowest note is the bass, regardless of what you call it. I sounded very intense about that, but it's just kind of a fact. So no cross voices. All right. Everything else is a consonance in 1-to-1 first species counterpoint. Everything is a consonant. Perfect consonances are only allowed on weak beats. Weak beat, perfect consonants. Why? They are less independent than imperfect consonants. You must change the harmony over the bar line. Like, this is not a change of harmony, is it? But I could not go back to the 1/6 chord here. Okay? It has to change harmony over the bar line. Again, to create independence. That seemed all pretty simple. What are you going to write? Thirds and sixths.
Yeah.
Thirds and sixths. Now, here's the little more complicated thing. There are no fourths. There are no fourths. No fourths. A perfect fourth is not a consonance above the bass. How many times have we talked about this? At least 6. Okay? Do we understand that the perfect fourth is, what is a dissonance? It's unstable. That's what a dissonance is. The perfect consonants are the most stable. Perfect fourth, please resolve me. That's why it's a dissonance above the bass. If I have a third underneath that fourth, the fourth is no longer a dissonance. It's a consonant. But a fourth above the bass is always dissonance. What is the magnitude and the meaning of a dissonant 6/4 chord? It's dissonant because of the 4. Okay? So, you want to do better? Okay. I'm going to stay in C minor because I really need someone to write a B natural. Okay, you want to Kansas Fear My and the other voice?
Yes.
Okay, great. Knocketh thyself out. I almost knocked myself out once. There was this crazy cat that lived in our communal house that we had when I was a minister. And I saw the cat and I thought, I'm going to jump at this cat and give it a fright.
Give it a break.
And I run towards the cat, and I jump up right under the threshold of the door. Bam!
Karma, instant karma.
Instant karma. And everybody said that immediately because they thought the cat was spooky in the first place.
Black cat, is it black cat?
It was a black cat. It was horrendously mean.
My mom was.
It allowed you to feed it.
Is it supposed to be B flat in that first measure?
Yes, thank you for asking. Otherwise, I'd have an augmented second going to A flat with that.
What would be a flat? What is it? What is it be flat? I'm so confused. How do you-
My youngest son came home late Saturday. It took him like almost 3 hours to get from Long Beach, Mississippi to Mobile. Wrecks and explosions and crap all over. And then he stayed home to celebrate Easter with his mama. And he laid in the lazy boy and watched Psych reruns all afternoon.
The show's on. I love that show.
He wouldn't play golf with me. He
Oh.
just laid in the lazy boy. He's a very long gentleman, so he needs to extend the boy. to Destin's recital on a Saturday. It was like 80 minutes. It's longer than the faculty's recital. Wasn't quite 80, I did get it on one CD, but that was epic.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was really good. Don't put a B natural there. Oh, this is in fact wrong, look at that. Y'all can tease me now. I didn't even know what catastrophe is.
Catastrophe.
That means firm song. Okay, I'm getting bored, so I'll do this for you. I think we're gonna start on a C. What you don't want to start on here is an F. Many people think the perfect consonant could be a fit there, but as you can see, an F would make no F, or making no sense. No sense. Okay, so here we have a dissension towards the A flat, so that has to go through B flat. So a little modality there. Now, I believe that C is not the appropriate note here. Why? Why? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. What does C imply? In terms of like, I don't think it implies a C chord. Harmonically, what chord does it imply?
Six.
Well, do you think we're gonna hear that as an F6/4 chord or an A flat 6 chord? You would think. You would think. But it's not always the case because A flat chord has less function in C than F does. That's one thing we don't really want to imply is a 6/4 chord. Is this going to imply a 6/4 chord? Maybe not, because we have descended upon it. So C might be okay. But what's that going to leave the E flat there? Can't have another C, can we? No? Maybe.
Why not?
Well, why don't we think about the chord progression?
Okay.
Let's do that. I'm going to call this 1. It's got a little heart instead of a dot. And it doesn't really look like a heart, but how about we make it a flame of eternal light of top. Okay, so what does this B flat imply? And I'm not gonna tell you. I think it implies 7. I really do. And if what you're saying is right, that implies 6. Now, for me, the big issue is that we haven't established the key whatsoever, but that's okay. We will here. We will definitely we could do this and we've got our clausula vera, or we could do that, we've got our perfect authentic cadence. Okay? So here, question is this gonna be a 2 chord, or is this gonna be 2 5 chords, like a 7 to 5, something like that? It could It could do this, like this, don't, or don't. We can all see that, yes. So that was like what we did in the last time. It could also be something like this, where we have a voice exchange on the dominant. And that is not carrying a, so in that sense, A flat isn't the most perfect note there. Why is F inappropriate coming from A flat? And who's gonna get this? Who's gonna be the smartest person in the room today?
Not it.
Who? Why is that A flat not going to ascend to F? And don't think of it harmonically, just think of it melodically.
Too big of a jump?
Why is it too big of a jump? It's not an augmented sixth. Augmented intervals are illegal melodically. Major sixths are generally not used. So what are the melodic intervals that aren't allowed? Minna. Augmented intervals. Dissonant leaps. Now why is leaps important there? Because a second is dissonant, but seconds are allowed. Fortunately. Okay, all augmented intervals disallowed. Did I say anything about diminished? I did not. I did not. No dissonant leaps. All right, diminished intervals are allowed if they turn back in the direction they should. Like an F moving to a B natural, that's a diminished fifth. If it then went to the C, that would be acceptable. So you're not gonna, major six melodically. All right, Emma tagged back in, Dalton tagged out. Dad.
Dad.
And Victoria had a shawl shooting up and everything. My favorite song. It's from The Wizard of Oz, do you know that?
Yeah.
I only found a vein.
Did you mention that this is going to the Murphy High School?
Okay, so with this in mind, what is the second note? It's not a G, I don't believe. What do you think? What do you think?
D.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we'll try this C. The other choice would be what? What could we do besides C? I think the word would be F. What does 7 move to? Doesn't 7 go to 3? But we don't have that note. So let's try the C, but then what are we gonna do with the E flat?
You could do B flat. Has
Here?
a chromatic motion, yeah.
Wouldn't that be a perfect fourth? Didn't I just make a big ass deal about all of that?
No, listen.
I put a G.
I just did say big ass deal. I'm so apologize for that.
I said what I was saying.
It's a giant donkey's worth of a mistake.
There you go.
Perfect fourth. We're not gonna write perfect fourths. Don't make me do that again. Don't make me go through the fourth. Okay, so A flat, maybe. Let's do it just in terms of like, if we had this like that, that's actually spelting out a chord, isn't it, kind of? That means this is wrong because that's an augmented interval. So we have to come up with something else that's not going to be, let's see, we got problems here. What are our problems?
Augmented second.
What's the note we're gonna write next? It's not that note. It's not B flat because that would be a cross relationship with B natural. With all that being said, there's really only one choice.
D.
Huh?
D. Well, never mind.
No, that's a perfect interval on a downbeat.
Yeah, those-
F.
That's correct.
Fourth is F.
Damn. Wait, I already.
F, G, C.
Oh, that F.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this might be pretty good. Now we've got a pack. I kind of loved it. Would I have changed it? Probably.
Can't you play it again? One more time.
Woo!
I thought you couldn't have that fit.
Let me just get in there. Took all I could do to get it on stage that first time. You know, the A flat against the C does seem the weakest. The downbeat of the second bar.
But the A flat to E flat feels weird too.
You know, I like that somewhat better, but it may, I just kind of. You know, it's tricky with the B flat because we don't get a sense of tonality right off the get, right off Jump Street, right off Go Baby. That's probably more acceptable. Now what I did here was I went to minor 5, which is tricky. I'll acknowledge that was tricky. So here's alternate version next. Parallel motion. Now, here's the other thing. What do you think else could be a problem? That's right. Excellent. Direct fifths and octaves are still alive. You can't do it. Now, here, I didn't find this A flat appropriate anymore. So, oh wait, don't change me. The C down to the F and G to the C. Now, how did this help? In that now, I've got me a fifth relationship in the bass between C and F, even though I don't have a fifth relationship in tonality. Oops, I'm playing the wrong one. that was particularly amusing. I felt like, oh, look! Y'all can't really see the clock in here.
Blue on black doesn't hear us that well.
It's actually white bulb.
7:46.
Oh
The
my
black or white
god.
No,
bulb.
2:46. One of those.
Sorry for your reason.
Okay, which voice would you like the Fermi in this time?
Go from black and white to black and blue.
I also use Gilbert Trittle's book sometimes, and about 87,000 other books that no one cares about either.
2 books to see.
Let's do a little longer one because we're pretty darn smart by now.
A lot of them have their
It's literally the history. Dude.
That's how writing is just a fast writing. You have to like.
Yeah.
All right, let us,
Yeah, which is a good idea, I think.
Back to.
we're gonna do this in C major or C minor,
Major.
okay?
C. Do.
I'm gonna suggest that this be your first note, okay? Now, the next thing I'm gonna suggest is you're gonna see this forever in your counterpoint, so that's kind of what you forever want to do. Good. Okay, now all the markers have moved over here. Let's put them in the pocket, and then we can look for them later. Ah, cigarettes. I smoked for about 100 years, but then I quit about 100 years ago. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't start that young. I was almost a teenager.
I was almost a teenager.
But everybody smoked back then. That's just what you did. You
Right, yeah.
smoked and you stole stuff.
What a good life.
Why am I like? That sounds awesome. I can steal money with an acid. Or just a cigarette.
I guess the last time I quit, I started chewing nicotine gum.
I'm sorry.
And it just would take enough of the edge off that I could make it through another minute. And then after months of doing that, I'm like, this stuff is horrible. And then I've been done, and I knew I would never smoke again because I could not quit again. And that's been a pretty long time ago. Back in the aughts sometimes. It's good. I don't remember, so that's kind of good. All the times I quit before, I remembered the minute that I had my last cigarette. Use a smoke. Are we all done? I don't know what's next on our syllabus. So I'm going to inquire in the gun shed. This phone saved my life. I had it right here in my front pocket. I mean, it left a huge bruise still, like in the shape of the phone. Bam!
Was it like?
I don't wanna put any images in your head. I flipped my phone onto the bed,
Oh,
and then for some reason, I took my belt off and slung it down on the bed. I mean, just like perfect shot. I could not have tried. I'd have missed it if I'd have tried to hit it.
Your brain was telling you to do it. No, actually, God was telling you
Perfection. So judge me. My screen is cracked.
See, that's because it's an Android.
Maybe.
Mm-mm-mm.
Are we done yet? Oh, I